Well, welcome to this edition of the Black Madonna Speaks on the Heart of the Black Madonna YouTube channel. I'm your host, Stephanie Georgieff, and I'm so pleased you're spending some time with me during this video. Now, it seems at the time of this recording, there's quite a bit going on in the planet. And I just want to give you all a shout out, and I hope and pray for your healing and that all your anxieties will be alleviated. Know that you're not alone and that this time in history is an amazing opportunity to see how dependent we are on one another for our health and our well-being. And that when we are kind and supportive to the least of these, we all benefit. So I hope that you experience kindness and generosity, and I encourage you to express kindness and generosity. It will be the best medicine for our times. Now, for those of you who listen to this channel, you know that I have just released a new book on the Virgin of Guadalupe, which is the second book in my series on the Black Madonna. But I wanted to look at some of the Black Madonnas that I covered in my first book, because if you're new and you didn't know I had this book, you might want to check it out. It's a little bit more theme for the channel. The Virgin of Guadalupe is considered the Black Madonna of the Americas because she's mestizo, or mixed race. And so that's just how the art world looks at these Madonnas. But I wanted to talk about probably one of the world's most beloved and most recognized of all Black Madonnas. And it's Our Lady of Jasna Gora. That's the name of the shrine where she is in a city, town called Czestochowa, Poland. And I had the great honor to go and visit this in 2008. And it's kind of interesting that I'm doing this video now, because that was the last time there seemed to be this global economic meltdown. And I was supposed to go to Italy to attend the Slow Food International Gathering of Food Communities in October of 2008. And for those of us who remember, because that was a little while ago, it was a wild time. The market was tanking, and they're trying to figure out how to make sure the whole global economic system did not collapse. And we had this huge bailout, which really angered quite a few people. And I was supposed to go to Europe, and I didn't know whether or not I could go. I didn't know whether or not there was going to be gasoline or cash, if my credit cards or my ATM card would work. And, people would say, well, why don't you just go? What's the worst that could happen? And I said, well, I could be stuck in Poland with no money. And then they would just blink, and they would tell me, well, I think you should go. So and it was also before the US election, which was an interesting time to leave. And then it was really, it was before Obama's first term, and we didn't know who to trust, and on and on. It was a very, very anxiety-producing time. And so I decided to just go. And after I went to Terra Madre, I started visiting Black Madonnas. And this was one of the first Madonnas that I visited. And it was really amazing. And so I went from Turin to Vienna, and then I went from Vienna to Czestochowa. And I'm going to start reading to you from the book, and this is a chapter. And these pictures I have taken by myself. So the train ride was absolutely beautiful. I was ashamed that I had no imagination of Poland other than that of concentration camps. This was a lush, rich land filled with culture and a proud people who had endured much in their tumultuous history. As you may know, my experience at Czestochowa was transformative. I had enjoyed other shrines, but there was something special about this shrine and this Madonna. I was laid bare. It was as if all my life flashed before me, and the future seemed irrelevant when I sat at the foot of this Madonna. I understood why there is such a profound devotion and admired the countless people who endured in spite of the greatest trials for the right to follow their hearts, to experience freedom in their souls, and to openly worship the Christ. This Black Madonna spoke to me personally, particularly during the current state of human evolution. It seemed as if everything we were doing was to hasten the end of the planet. Everything that was sacred was being defiled. And there she was with her scarred, stern face, basically saying, yes, it's terrible. And yes, you will not only survive, but the best of you will thrive. My deepest question as I watched the faithful come to adore her on bended knees was, did this image get her power from an otherworldly source? Or did she get it from the centuries of millions of devotees who projected their hopes and desires upon her? I read once that when we look at something, the action actually alters the molecular activity of the object. If this is true, what sort of transformation has occurred with the image of Our Lady of Czestochowa, which has sustained so many people during extremely difficult times? And yet, how did this mysterious Black Madonna relate to the others? There did not seem to be a Templar or Grail connection anywhere with this Madonna. What was she about anyway? Our Lady of Czestochowa in the Jasna Gora shrine has a similar narrative to many of the other well-known Black Madonnas. While science and history say this picture probably dates to the 5th or 6th century AD because of its Byzantine style, legend attributes St. Luke as the artist. He is thought to have painted the Virgin as she sat for her portrait on the very table she and the Holy Family ate upon for meals. In the year 326, St. Helen, the mother of Constantine, located the icon in Jerusalem and brought it back to Constantinople. It remained there for centuries in the possession of the emperor's homes. Bestowed to the Princess of Ruthenia, an ancient kingdom located in what is now Russia, Slovakia, Ukraine, and Belarus, the icon was brought to Poland in 1382 through the efforts of Saint Vladisław of Opole. The saint discovered it in a castle at Belz. Since then, there have been many miracles associated with this image. This is a reproduction of Our Lady of Czestochowa that is above the entrance to the shrine. As with all legends, the symbolism of the Black Madonna of Czestochowa is very deep. Deciphering the reality of the history of the image, anything is possible. I personally like to believe the more amazing legends. One of the more popular narratives is that in 1430, several renegade Hussites stole and vandalized the image, breaking it into 3 pieces. One of the vandals drew a sword to slash the lady's face. He successfully inflicted 2 gashes. After the 3rd attempt, he fell to the ground, writhing in pain, and died. Legend states that the painting miraculously repaired itself from the broken pieces, but the facial scars remained. The legend goes on to say all attempts to cover the scars have been unsuccessful. After painting over the scars, the gashes miraculously reappear the next day. Scholars state that the image was painted anew in 1434 after the damage, and the restoration artists tried to restore it as closely as the original had been, including the slashes on her cheek. Here is a beautiful picture of the walkway up to the shrine, and this is the walkway that the pilgrims take when they walk towards the shrine, but every August 15th during the Feast of the Assumption of the Virgin. This is just filled with hundreds and thousands of pilgrims. This Black Madonna, the Black Madonna of Czestochowa, repels invaders, apparently scaring away besieging Saracens during her tenure in Constantinople. In 1655, a small group of Polish defenders was able to drive off a much larger army of Swedish invaders from the sanctuary with the help of Our Lady of Czestochowa. This happened at the River Vistula in 1920. Her shrine is decorated with numerous crutches and canes of those who came to her seeking healing. She is also the favorite icon of those who appeal for healing and also those who wish to get pregnant. And this is a picture of just one side of her chapel with all the crutches and all the medals. In California, we would call these milagros. And you also see strings of amber. The real miracle power of Our Lady of Czestochowa is that she has given spiritual strength and comfort to millions of her devoted pilgrims in and outside of Poland for nearly 800 years. As this image has the title of Official Protectorate of the Polish Nation, Pope John Paul II, as well as Lech Walesa of the Solidarity Movement, have venerated her. On the feast day of the Assumption of the Virgin, which occurs yearly on August 15th, all of Poland goes on a pilgrimage to the shrine. During the desperate last years of the Soviet Empire, the Solidarity Movement used her as a symbol of hope and endurance. Walesa had a vision of her during one of his presence days and dedicated the movement to her honor. He wore her medal over her heart, unless giving interviews to the Western press when he would remove the image. I'm not sure why Walesa did this. Otherwise, he dedicated his life and his actions to her. I was struck by the Poles' fervent desire to worship during the dark days of communism and how the Solidarity Movement dedicated itself to complete openness. Members posted their meetings and contact information on local bulletin boards. They did not feel they had anything to hide and refused to live their lives in fear or secrecy. As I saw pictures of the crowds during these holy days, I felt the world could learn much from these people who endured the brunt of 2 world wars, the horrors of the Holocaust, decade under communist rule, and yet maintained their dignity and courage. Was it this Black Madonna, with her seeming connection to the vast cosmos, her scarred face, her endurance that gave people their strength? What was it I was feeling in the warmth of the Black Madonna Chapel in Czestochowa? If you'd like to read more, please feel free to order my book, The Black Madonna Mysterious Soul Companion. It's by me, Stephanie Georgia. It's available. And The Virgin of Guadalupe is my newest book, Guadalupe, Mysterious Messenger of Destiny. And both these books are available through Barnes & Noble and Amazon. And the Black Madonna book is available now on Audible, and very shortly the Guadalupe book will be available through Audible. So you can get electronic copies or Audible. You don't have to go anywhere. Your risk of contamination or contagion is quite low if you use these methods. And so I'll leave you with this picture of a solitary pilgrim on the streets of Czestochowa. This was taken on November 1st. And I wish you all blessings on your journey, and know that we will endure and we will thrive.